Have you ever wanted something so badly, like a new opportunity, a relationship, bigger income, and felt like you were just being ignored by the universe? A lot of times we're unable to do what we know as manifestation because our nervous system doesn't feel safe. Our nervous system doesn't feel ready to receive. We are not mentally open. We are physically closed. And so today we're going to be talking about what needs to happen in order for us to make space so that we can allow for things like blessings and abundance to come in. Hello, Ra. Yeah, so let me know where you guys are at. Let me know what is going on with your current intentions. What are you manifesting? What are you materializing? That term manifesting, I also feel is we're misinformed on what it is. Manifestation isn't a cause and effect thing. A lot of what we know, a lot of what we get taught is that reality works through cause and effect. That's how our science works, right? We can set up experiments and we can see how things work within this linear timeline. And if we can get out of that construct and start thinking about time as happening more like a infinity symbol or a toroidal force field where we are influencing both the quote past, present, and future, both the past and the future, with our current state of awareness. And if we're going into an event, we could most definitely create that event with the alignments that we have after that event. It doesn't just have to happen before the event. So what I mean by that is if something happens and then you get angry, you might think that it was the thing that happened that made you angry. But yet that anger was always inside of you. That anger was what lives within you, and you are materializing, you are attracting, you are manifesting thought forms, emotional patterns, actions, and physical reality to match, to be in tune with who you are. My truck just blew up and I received a $20,000 bill. And how do you feel about that, Spiritual Dust? Let us know a little bit more about that. Thank you for sharing that. My mental health has completely taken over my physical health. I've been through this before and I'm aware, but it's difficult to heal mental when sick physically. Yes, it's all connected. It is definitely all connected. Share what else is going on with you guys. What are you manifesting in your life, in your reality? Now, you may be... So back to manifestation. Manifestation is noticing, because we're always manifesting. We are the material nature of this godly essence, this ether is what it's otherwise known as, this light force, this life force, the photonic energy, the morphic fields. Those are all different ways to explain this permeating energy that has always existed and always will exist. It can never be created or destroyed. It's in all things, everywhere, and at all times. It's also all powerful. It's also all knowing. And this information, this energy, this force, this power, this source that flows through us is connected to everything else. It starts in the non-physical, in the unmanifest. We are the entities that slow down and get to witness that energy in a material way, bound by the laws of time and space. And we're pulling that in to our experience of reality. And manifestation is the noticing of how we do that. It's noticing that I'm thinking that I need to tell my mom something, and then she calls. It's noticing that we're tapped into this abundant, all-existing force, and we're able to sense how we happen to mold this around us based on our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. The current state of the world and menopause has derailed me and drained me. Another way to look at that is that your focus has shifted. And now what are you looking at? Right? There's this movie, I forget the name of it, 20 years old maybe, with Ben Affleck, and he's a scientist and he figures out, I don't know if he invented the machine or if he just worked for the machine, but it was essentially a machine that I forget, but he would eventually end up getting tens of millions of dollars, something like that, and he finds himself in this situation where they erase his memory at certain points too, so that they don't know what he just invented. So he invents something that should be worth tens of millions of dollars. He goes to get paid, and they're like, you sign a contract saying that you don't want any of this money, and you give up all of your things, and the only thing that you get is this envelope. And in the envelope are these like seemingly useless items. And he now has to figure out, like, why would I, because his memory was erased, why would I give up all of this money? I must have needed to have such extreme focus on these items in this envelope that the only way I would have paid attention to them is if I would have given up all the money. If I would have been so shocked and so derailed by the current circumstance that the only thing that I had to look at was these items. Someone's saying A Peaceful World. I'm not sure if that's the name of the movie, but somebody has to know the name of this movie. So he then starts paying attention to the items, and he starts figuring out what each item means. And so when things happen in our life, someone mentioned their truck blowing up, someone mentioned menopause and the state of the world, it's similar. We are manifesting this experience to notice something. And so what are you here noticing? I'm manifesting funds for my daughter's college expenses. I am manifesting traveling and serving, hosting beautiful retreats. Really feel what that feels like. Place yourself. I'm going to give you guys two tricks. The first one you've probably already done, right? Where you place yourself into that situation. And the reason for that is so that you can practice your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, and your actions so that you can actually feel what that feels like. So that you can harmonize and let that be the guiding map of your decisions, of your dreams, of your relationships. So when you place yourself into that reality, all of those changes are felt within your nervous system, they're felt within your glandular system, and they're felt outside of your body. It emanates out into the field. And the field is influenced by those who are in the most alignment. this field of reality. Things are not solid. We feel like this is solid, but with a strong enough microscope, we go down and all we see is energy. It's all a field of energy, including us, including our thoughts. And so what's influencing this field of energy? What is materializing the non-physical into the physical? What is shaping that? And the things that is shaping that are the entities, the beings who are in the most alignment. Think about even just like human cells, human selves, those that are ruling the planet. What do they have that the rest of us don't have? Organization. They have organization. They conspire together in order to create situations to their advantage. When they're disconnected, they're unable to control. And so you have Monsanto creating poison that goes onto our food. And then there's scientists that are creating their own studies to say that their poisons are not good for humans. And so in order for Monsanto to continue being probably $1 billion or even working on $1 trillion company, it just creates its own science. They do what is called ghostwriting. And this happens in all industries. And this is why you guys should be very skeptical of science, because science can be bought. When you have a peer-reviewed system, all that means is that if you have enough money, you can buy the peers. And you can write your own studies and pay the peers, the scientists, to put their name on those studies. And then you can constantly quote those studies that you fabricated as proof of why your chemical is safe for human consumption. And anybody that says differently, you then align yourself with a pre-existing term called conspiracy theorist that is used to discredit those who are aware of these people conspiring together. And so very few people run this entire planet because they just conspire with the different groups. They conspire with the medical industry. They conspire with the lawmakers through lobbying. The medical industry is through basically the fact that the oil giants ended up owning all of the medical industry, and they shut down all the they call them alternative medical systems now, even though that was the original. The pharmaceutical are the new guys. So they shut down all the original medical institutions. And there's very few people controlling all of these sectors of the world. And when you align to each other, you have ultimate power. And so the same thing with ourself. If we're able to align the different parts of ourself, we then become more influential of the field of reality. There's just other people with their own agendas trying to disalign us. And they're creating the gladiator rings of, the coliseums of today, which is football and Netflix and cat videos on Instagram. That's the distraction mechanisms that pull us out of alignment. And so back to the original comment, I am manifesting, traveling, serving, hosting beautiful retreats. Are we able to latch on to that and get rid of the news and get rid of the elementary education that we all receive, the K through 12 brainwash, and even the university brainwash for most of us? Get rid of what your mom and dad are saying that just want you to be safe, and focus on who you are as this person. So that's the first tip. The second tip, and this is a secret tip, guys, this is something that will change your life as soon as today. Instead of just placing yourself in the situation where you are traveling and serving, hosting beautiful retreats, place yourself 6 months ahead of when that was created, or 2 years ahead of when that was created. The reason why this works is because when we just place ourselves into that current moment or that future moment when it's happening, there's a lot of our brain, there's a lot of our mind that we're going to have to fight. It's going to resist, and it's going to say, no, this is impossible. We can't do this. We don't have what it takes. We don't have enough money. What about our job that we have now? We have to keep on doing that. What about our boyfriend or girlfriend or kids? What about my parents? What about all the things that I own in my house? What am I going to do while I'm traveling? And that's the part of our brain that keeps us safe. The East calls it the negative mind. In the East, there's many different types of mind. There's many different types of lots of things, like love. English has been so dumbed down and minimized that we usually just use one word to explain all the different types of a certain thing. I have a book somewhere, I think it's called The Little Book of Love, and it has like 257 or 263, something like that, some number like that, all the different meanings of love in Sanskrit. In English, we have the word love. In Sanskrit, we have a lot of other meanings. And then we could add some adjectives in English, right? Like childhood love, passionate love, a love of fury. Like we could add adjectives, but these older languages are a lot more descriptive. And why would that be? I'm going on a major tangent here. I'm going to get back to that second step of manifestation. Why would older languages be way more advanced than now? It's because we fluctuate as a species of the amount of dimensions that we're able to perceive. And right now, I'm sure you know of someone who knows somebody who's psychic or empathic, where they can feel other people's feelings, and this is able to go into other densities of consciousness where we have access to more than just what's inside of our individual suit, this space suit. Ultimately, we all have that. We all have that. We all have an ability to sense outside of ourselves. But the more we are in our body, the less of that we're able to access, and it does take some practice. It does take some practice. Going back to placing ourselves ahead of the moment where we create. When we place ourselves ahead of that moment, that negative part of our mind turns off, because there's no reason to keep us safe for something that's already happened. Let me say that in a different way. If you're about to cross the road, there's going to be a part of you. Oh, I never really finished why older languages. I was like, there's some point I never really made. And that was the older languages being more descriptive than we are now. And I started getting into other dimensions. And also, if you think about otherworldly creatures or entities that maybe have gifted language to us, the language that they would gift us would be the language that they would use, right? And that language would be very advanced because they would do things like travel through what we know as space, or travel through dimensions, or have technology that we don't even understand right now, or building, be able to build. Guys, just go to your Capitol building if you're in North America, or pretty much anywhere in the world, the Capitol building in those cities. Go look at them. There's no way those were built 100 years ago with horse and buggy and stonemasons. Those things, and back then, the population of those cities were very small. So just think about it for a second. How did someone build this thing when the population of the entire city was only like 5,000 or 20,000? Well, what would be the purpose of this gigantic, monumental, intricate building with all these secret tunnels and passageways and doors that look like they're for giants? These were built by an advanced civilization, just like the pyramids, which we're finding out. Guys, if you've been under a rock for the last 20 years, we know that there's things in the pyramids, around the pyramids, that we cannot explain, we do not know how to do. And in the last few months, it's been proven, even though it's already been written about, and some of us already knew this, that the pyramids were just the top of what's going on beneath the surface. It definitely looks like technology that's way beyond our grasp of what it could possibly mean, way beyond the mainstream grasp of what they could possibly be. And we also know there's pyramids all over the earth, underneath water, on top of mountains, formed in ways that it looks like stone was melted and rearranged in a pattern that can survive. You know, some of them are built on faults. They're built better than we can build today, like by far better, millennia better. And so this language that we've adopted comes from these ascended species. Okay, let me just finish this one point. I'm like going in circles here. Place yourself ahead of the point where you're manifesting, so that negative mind that's made to keep you safe, right? Imagine yourself standing in front of a freeway and you need to cross it. There's going to be a big part of your mind that's saying, do not cross it, because you're going to get hit by a car. And that part of your mind is extremely relevant. And that's the same part of your mind that's doing all the other things, like, you can't afford this. What about your house? What about this? What about that? That gets in the way. And so to hack your psychology and get around that, you simply remember. Remember when you were traveling around the world, hosting retreats for people, helping a lot of people. Remember it. Place yourself 2 years in front of that moment and think back to when you made that happen. And now you're able to practice feeling, thinking, acting, being that version of yourself, so that you can think, be, act, feel those versions now, so that you harmonize reality to that. And keep on placing yourself in front of this scenario. What is this? I think I just drank a green drink. There we go. Still doing it, guys. Not just selling it. It's been taking the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation for 7 or 8 years. Twice a day. Mix the greens with the dark berry now. DM me the word ULT if you want to know about that lifestyle. All right, I just manifested chocolate bonbons and potato chips. An evening for myself. Amazing. I think we all felt that. Hello from Stockholm. I just bought an apartment. Yes, I am blessed. Now here's the word they use. But, I'm going to come back and dissect that. But, I know now it is the wrong place for me to live. It is way too busy and loud. Can we just use the word and? Hello from Stockholm. I just bought an apartment. Yes, I am blessed. And I know it is the wrong place for me to live. It is way too busy and loud. Do you guys hear the difference? Hello from Stockton. I just bought an apartment. Yes, I am blessed. But I know it is the wrong place for me to live. It is way too busy and loud. What's the difference between but and and? But discredits, it erases, it deletes the first part of that statement. I just bought an apartment. Yes, I am blessed. But, okay, you're not blessed. The fact that you bought an apartment, completely useless and pointless. You're an idiot. That's what saying but means. I just bought an apartment. I am blessed. And it's not feeling like it's the right place for me. So now you can hold those two things as possibilities. I did this thing, and there's this other truth. This is true, and this is true. And now we move from a platform of truth. Yes, you did this thing, and it's not right for you. The solution will include both of those. Otherwise, when you say but, you're basically saying it shouldn't happen. That's already not in alignment with reality. You are now a field that's trying to fight what's actually here now. So try, guys, to look at your language. Anytime the word but comes up, it really is going to add resistance. And it's going to be difficult for you to create if you're a butter. I am currently experiencing so much resistance to feeling the success or satisfaction based on my current actions because I moved back into my old Brooklyn neighborhood. That's part one. Sure. Are we not this energy, not outside of it? Are we not this energy, not outside of it? Are we not this energy, not outside of it? I have to let that... Good Will Hunting is not the name of the movie. I just met his first grade teacher, facing my heart bursting wide open and starting to let go. Oh, because you're leaving your kid in school. Hi there. You had an instructor yesterday. Do a live fascia full body stretching. Can I have that video? I'm sure it's reposted, on our channel. So just go ahead and look for it. I'm manifesting sold out events next month. Good. She was a female instructor. Here to see how much of the wholeness, the light, divinity, our true selves can allow to come through this vessel conduit. My invitation for you is to start recognizing and seeing. So this is back to what I was saying before about remembering. First, look at your current situation. Guys, a lot of us are like waiting for something to happen. That's not manifesting. Manifestation is noticing that wholeness, light, divinity is here now. Where can you find proof of that? Where is proof of wholeness, divinity, light in your body, in your reality, in the things that you do, the things that you see, the interactions that you have? Where is it with you now? That's step one. When you can wrap your head around that, and it might not happen today, it might take years before you can see the blessings in your life, of everything in your life, guys. The job that you thought you hated, the fact that you failed out of school, the fact that your kid is not listening to you, all of that, and you can see the wholeness, the beauty, the progression of that, then you can go in the past and start noticing how everything has always permeated with this essence, this tone. And then you're going to get the real, to the root of this, that it's you. It's your choice on how you're envisioning, how you're structuring, how you're framing your perspective of life, of reality, of other people, of yourself. That is not only giving you that perspective, but it's creating life, reality for you and for others. You are the one choosing. Ben Affleck's movie was Paycheck. Just watched it a couple weeks ago. I'll trust you on that. Like I said, it's like 20 years old. Illusions, beliefs. Serve the 1%. Sovereignty. Read my email if you want to send information. According to biology of belief, the cellular organisms are super organizers in community. Yeah, that's like our organs organize our system, and then we are the organisms. So like organisms comes from an organization. We're an organism, an organization of cells. Just getting through these comments. Heard recently the Greek word agape. Right. love. It's like love that you can put in. It's like a influential love. It's much more than that too. 263 meanings of love. I think the English language can be upgraded to the technology it was in the olden days. We can come up with new language and all agree to use it. Your thoughts on nuance of language being a portal to other realities we can visit? Agreed. Language is a lens. For sure it's a lens. A perspective. Who is the host? Guys, come on. Let me put my name down here. I've been doing this for over 2 years on this channel. Over 2 years? I had the title on here. I just forgot to pin it. My name is Ra, otherwise known as Ra of Earth. Ra stands for, it's short for what I went through all my life, which is Ronnie, the name that I was called. My birth name is Ronald, and I ended up owning gyms for a decade. And when I closed my gyms, I was feeling like going into a different chapter of my life. And so I went back to Ronald, and what happened? Is there a filter on me now? I look like a... How did that happen? I'm plug the microphone to plug in my voice, but how would I have changed my face to look weird and the lighting looks weird? All right. You guys notice I look a little weird, right? Looks like dreamy almost. All right, so more comments before I start moving along. It's a work of advanced technology. It's a work of advanced technology. Old languages use the code too. The code. Yes, it's all a code. You can feel it. Have you been to the Egyptian pyramids? No, I have not. I have not. In this lifetime, like in the traditional sense of it. If you read 19th century literature or simple letters between two people, the descriptive language will blow your mind compared to today's language. Right. There's also, guys, like this is like Asian language where there's symbols. The symbols are almost like you're figuring out an equation for each symbol, and that's why Asians are stereotypically way better at things like math, because in their language is figuring out. It's like logically piecing together several different ideas to create a concept. And if you think about the way our language works, thank you for the English lesson, and so it is. We were born and we manifested, so we are already there. Yes, we are here and we are there. I have thought it through. I'm going to get back to language, the point. I'm just getting through these comments. I have thought it through and think it's because I'm scared. I will revert back to old programming because of my surroundings. They might trigger old imprinted habits. This is Melissa Photo talking about moving back to an old city that she used to live, being afraid of old imprinted habits. The way that gets reformed, guys, is that you fill in an override. It's very difficult to just not do something. You must fill in the hole, right? So just like if we were to create, if we were organizing ourselves to create something, we would make space. And so if we're not wanting something to happen anymore, we must take it out, and it's going to come in. It's going to, like an addiction, is going to come back in if you don't fill in that space with something else. overflow that space with something that you enjoy better. Gives you more satisfaction, gives you a better high. So like even for something like drugs and alcohol, breath work, meditation, exercise, adventure are examples of things that you can start becoming obsessed with and focused on and progressing, so that you don't let those old addictions come back in that don't serve you. And the way that you can keep those in the bucket, keep those in the jar, is to be reminded of your why. Maybe it's a child being born, maybe it's a business goal you're hitting, maybe it's like you becoming a more attractive person to enjoy life with greater levels of people. Language without words is best, actions best. Actions speak louder than words created to distract. Manifesting a body free from raw and pain. Rheumatoid arthritis is what I think that they're referring to. Rheumatoid arthritis, an autoimmune condition, mostly because the body is attacking itself. You guys, autoimmune is caused by mostly like a permeable gut. It's called leaky gut, and what happens is feces from your gut start to, basically things like glyphosate, Monsanto poisons, it destroys your gut lining, and your gut still needs to get nutrition into your body, so it can't. So it literally starts to like split open and perforate. It gets perforated as well by certain poisons in our environment and our food supply. And then your feces, which should be outside your body, starts to leak into your body. And so now you have these foreign mechanisms and organisms and particles in your body. And now your body is going to go and try to attack them. And it gets confused because there's so much of it. And so now you have an autoimmune condition. Auto means self. Immune means attacking. So you're auto-attacking, you're self-attacking, your defense mechanisms is attacking your healthy cells, and then it causes something to break, like rheumatoid arthritis. But the actual cause of rheumatoid arthritis isn't rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is a symptom of the sickness. Rheumatoid arthritis is not the illness or the disease. Rheumatoid arthritis is where your body broke. The actual sickness and the disease is your lifestyle. It's the poison that you're breathing and eating. And the good news about that is that that's fixable. We can fix that. And because a human with rheumatoid arthritis is not as functional to serve as the greatest expression of self in pain and frustration, how can a person be whole like that? It's my mission to make sure that as many people as possible aren't suffering from these diseases and these lack of energy and brain fog and bloating and lack of sleep and acne. All of these things that we think are illnesses and diseases are really just the symptom. It's where the chain broke in the body. But that's not where we attack. We don't attack our skin because our skin's got so much toxins in it. Our body's got so much toxins in it, it's trying to get out everywhere possible, and it's coming out the skin. Trying to put cream on, it doesn't make any sense. Same thing with rheumatoid arthritis. Like, go back to the cause. And our medical industry isn't focused on root cause analysis. They're focused on treating symptoms. So it's really a sick care system. It's treating sicknesses. But the sicknesses aren't really the sicknesses. The actual sickness is lifestyle. And lifestyle is mostly a little bit of stress and life and like what you do during the day, and a lot having to do with food and what you're breathing and how can we detoxify, how can we nourish the body, how can we repair the body. And once again, go back to my profile, raw_of_earth, DM me, ULT, Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation. We help people in a guaranteed money back way to get nourished, detoxified, and repaired so that any sort of dis-ease you have a fighting chance against, because a healthcare system will make people healthy. And then dis-ease and sickness and those labels that we put on things cannot survive in health. That's the only way to get better, guys, is health. It's not to try to get rid of the symptoms of sickness. It's to get rid of the actual thing that's causing those symptoms. You don't just cut them out. You don't just take a pill or a peptide to get rid of them. The root level, or put a patch on you, the root level, foundationally, besides going outside and being in the air and the sun and the water, it's diet, okay? Because all of that stuff is free. And that's actually the root, right? Because even food is made of air, earth, water, ether, light. So Great Evil, thank you for taking your time to teach. Autoimmune is not being able to tolerate self on some level. There's also that, which is why I'm also obsessed. And in the first, I have degrees in psychology, and the whole emotional, psychological, psyche thing is tied into that. You will create all in harmony with your deficiencies. The neurologist Kulrit Chaudhary talks about leaky gut and how having sufficient nutrients in the body creates clarity of mind, so we feel smarter. Food lifestyle helps. Ra, what do you think fainting is about? Blood not reaching the brain, or an NDE, a near-death experience? What do I think fainting is about? That's what I can say is that's a good question for you to ask, and whoever is fainting to ask. It could be many different things. Like I said, go back to the root. Try not to focus so much on what feels broken. Not that I'm saying that fainting is you being broken, but let's just, for simplicity, say that it is now, because it could be other options. But we're really looking at what can get better at a root level. Am I getting outside enough? Am I super stressed out? Do I move the body? Guys, a lot of us are sitting down all the time. So movement, even just bouncing up and down, will help. It's going to help the lymph. All right, and it's going to allow movement in the meridian, the nervous system. The energy of the body is going to be freed up, and it's just like giving everything a bath inside of you. So you guys know when you do the organ reset where you're like, you got one hand up here that's flowing energy and you have the other hand down here, and maybe you're connecting onto your kidney and you're saying things like, I forgive my mother, I forgive my father, I forgive myself. I love my mother. When you're saying this, the words are just a symbol of the deeper, of you connecting to the energy pattern of what the words actually mean. So the words aren't actually you forgiving. You saying, I forgive, isn't actually you forgiving. But when you say those words, you actually start the process and you can feel what it feels like. And so clearing space for the attachments that you have and maybe how you hate your parents is going to allow for your cup to have some space so that you can fill some other things into it besides I hate my parents. And when you fill other things into it, I hate my parents, don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anywhere to latch on to you. Got it? Someone's asking about quality of bone broth. Guys, there's lots of different answers to that, but basically find the best quality that is convenient enough for you to consume. Sometimes it's going to the health food store. Sometimes it's going to the farmer's market. Sometimes it's making it your own. And have some grace and try not to shame yourself for doing either of those. And also other people. When you start learning about health, really try your best to lift others up as opposed to tearing them down. When you're in the grocery store, you see other people grabbing the Cheetos and the Pepsi. They're a progress. And what sort of love can we send to them energetically rather than looking at them like an idiot, piece of crap, like if unaware person, right? So the purpose of becoming aware is not to feel like you're better than everyone else, because you're still in that phase. And that's the phase when you get power, and if you still have that, if you're still working through that, can be damaging to society. And so being able to see everybody as a progression and perfectly divine and filled with light, as we were talking about earlier, is going to allow you to be a more responsible vessel of power. Fainting can be, and when you're aligned to flowing that power through you into others, there's going to be more power that comes to you, more light, life force, energy that comes to you. Fainting can be as simple as dehydration. It can be low blood volume. It can be vagus nerve. It can be lack of proper circulation. It can be virus. It can be your stance, etc. Yes, it could be a lot of things, which is why I didn't comment on that. You faint due to dehydration, low or high blood pressure, or incredible stress. Yes, all of those things that got better since fascial maneuvers. I have low blood volume for sure. Making your own instills, like distillation instills your cultivating frequency. Low on electrolytes, somebody else said. So speaking of fainting, this has to do with us regulating our ability to be present, our ability to be on point, to be in focus, to be aligned with satisfaction, with safety, with security. And so knowing that about yourself allows you to create in a way that's in alignment with what you would think about as manifestation. Because no matter what we're manifesting, we can manifest an unsafe environment, we can manifest misery, we can manifest not being able to focus, and it really just comes down to your ability to regulate your focus. Can you regulate your focus? Because there's always good things that you can look at about a situation and bad things. What's the saying? A negative person will always see the worst out of any, I'm butchering this, we'll always see the worst out of any good situation, and a positive person will see the best out of every bad situation. So what are you going to be? What are you going to notice? Because we're here for a time period. And how many years have went by of you seeing the worst out of every situation? Doesn't matter if it's true, guys. You can argue till your head comes off, justifying why you should be angry. The point is that you're still angry. It's not anybody else feeling anger, right? Anger is like, I forget who said this, Plato or Socrates or somebody like this. Anger is like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. And so whether you're angry, sad, depressed, how many years of life are you going to let go on where you're noticing things to fuel that? And what is the cost of you being happy. The cost of you being happy is letting these other things happen without you paying so much attention to them. Must you pay so much attention to what you perceive as wrong? Because you're taking that all in, you're drinking the poison, and you're experiencing an angry life. And nobody else is going to change it. Nobody's going to help you change it. It's you. And being able to regulate your system so that you are in harmony is going to allow you to manifest things that match that. And so if you just put your hand on your heart and just notice the love that you have for yourself. As you inhale, you notice that love growing. As you exhale, you feel that light, that love, that energy, that source percolating into your whole body. It grows in brightness, it grows in intensity on the inhales, and it flows out into your body, into the earth, into reality on the exhales. And start noticing this feeling and start noticing what in life would be in alignment to this. Where would you feel in alignment to more of this? What would need to happen? What is already happening that you would like to happen more of? Who would you need to meet? Where would you need to be? What would need to happen? Grab on to something. And in your next inhale, hold that breath and visualize receiving that desire. Visualize receiving this desire with your breath held in. Once again, it's getting brighter, it's getting more intense, it's getting bigger. And then release with the exhale any tension that you feel surrounding this. Any sort of negativity, any sort of you can't. Release that on the exhale. And then inhale one more time. Quick hold. Hold it in. And then release the resistance on the exhale. And this is what we can do to call in things, people, circumstances, experiences into our life. Intend with the breath, regulate your focus on that, and now the distractions are less apparent. You may not scroll because you're motivated and committed and you married to the concepts that are important to you. And so, do you have the discipline, the focus to know what you're calling in and have the ability to let it land within you in all levels? And when you know this, are you able to keep it safe from yourself, from your own sabotage? Are you able to keep it safe, to hold it up, to honor it, to keep it away from your negative mind? And are you able to be relaxed and confident about this and not tight and restricted and needy with it, but more of like a detached acceptance that whatever happens will be perfect, and I will pivot and reorient myself around whatever happens with the same energy? And are you able to feel safe within this, where you don't need things to happen in order to feel safe? You don't need other people to do things. You don't need reality to show up a certain way to feel safe, but you're able to foundationally have that as a default. And so what we're looking for is matching our energy, our psyche, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings. We're looking to match our energy into our body. And we can do this with Human Garage Fascia Maneuvers. We can do this with my Self-Expansion app practices, where we practice all of this. We practice the psyche, then we practice into the body, embedding it into the body. You guys can practice this while taking a walk. You can focus on this before you go to bed, when you rise up, during orgasm. There's reading books that are aligned to this. There's going out into nature and noticing how nature does this automatically. There's looking at the sunset, the sunrise, a flowing river. There's getting in a flowing river. There's all of these moments available to us where we can just notice the harmony of nature and align ourselves to more of that. And it's really just up to us. It's our responsibility to do that for the greatest expression of ourself within the greatest expression of the whole. And it's with my happy acknowledgement to be on this journey with you as a human, an ape-based humanoid on what we know of as Earth, with the oceans, the sky, the trees. The Earth, the food supply that we are struggling to maintain. That was a lot of beautiful words, and then I said that, struggling to maintain. Let me reverse that. The earth, the sky, the ocean, the trees, and the abundant nourishment that's all over this planet that we get to taste and eat and feel transmuted of consciousness into ourself. Like, we give the apple eyes and ears and a mouth to experience reality. We ascend food into ourself. And it's a very interesting life that we all live. And I'm honored to be here with you guys. I'm happy to be here with you guys. And let's all assume responsibility for our own ascension, and let's all rise up together. Take care, everybody. I'm here every week, noon Pacific time. @raw_of_earth is my personal handle. Bye-bye.